Hello, my name is Erin Smith, and I'm a music instructor at Enterprise State Community College. At the urging of colleagues, students, family, and friends, I decided to begin posting vlogs and other helpful videos on my YouTube page concerning vocal health. When I considered the topic for my first video, I knew that I must address an issue that has weighed upon me for many years. I'm asked often by parents and students alike, how does one choose a private music teacher? This seems like a simple question, but the topic itself can be rather difficult and is full of treacherous pitfalls. My parents and I fell into this complex morass when we first moved to Enterprise, Alabama, when I was 13 years old. At this point, I had been singing in church, at school, and at home since I was a toddler. It was not until I performed my first real solo at church that my parents realized I had potential as a singer. Needless to say, they were shocked and unsure about how to proceed. My mother began to question other parents in our town about possible voice teachers. At the time, we were told there was only one option, and my mother quickly contacted and contracted this teacher to help me progress and develop as a singer. This woman was one of the kindest and most well-meaning people I have ever known, but she had no formal training as a singer, let alone as a teacher of singing, both of which we did not discover until years later. My lessons consisted of singing a few simple warm-up exercises, followed by selections from musical theater, American folk music, and a few Latin songs thrown in for good measure. There was never any discussion of vocal technique, let alone healthy and correct technique. Luckily, my teacher thought I was an alto, so most of the songs I sang utilized the middle portion of my range and avoided the outer extremities of my voice. Otherwise, I might have faced vocal damage. When I was 17 and a junior in high school, a local music minister and voice teacher at ESCC began to substitute for the choir at Enterprise High School. I had been dissatisfied with my lack of vocal growth for a few years at this point, and I approached him about taking voice lessons. This was the first time I studied with a teacher who had not one, but 2 degrees in voice, and I finally began to learn vocal technique. I spent a year working with him, and he helped me to prepare for my college auditions with songs from the classical repertoire as required by the music departments I hoped to join. My story ended well, thankfully, but many are not as lucky. So I return to the question, how does one choose a private music teacher? 1. Contact your local college or university. If you are lucky, one of the faculty members may have an opening in his or her private studio. Otherwise, they will know the best people in the community to provide your child with a safe and effective training. You may also wish to look at the website for the National Association of Teachers of Singing, NATS, or AMTA or MTNA. These are all professional organizations for music teachers, and there you will find a list of potential instructors. It is important to note that inclusion in this list is voluntary and open to all levels of membership. So I suggest that you start with the college near you. 2. Investigate your potential teacher. There are no laws preventing anyone from hanging a shingle advertising music instruction. It is therefore a parent or guardian's duty to investigate a potential teacher. Ask to see a degree and a resume. Make sure that the degree is actually for the instrument that your child wishes to learn. Being a music graduate does not qualify one to teach every instrument. 3. Ask for an audition. Most teachers, including myself, require an audition, but it is not only the student who is on display. You are also auditioning the teacher. Bring a list of questions. Ask for a copy of their studio policies. Ask to see the environment in which your child will be learning. Remember, you are your child's greatest advocate. 4. Compare prices in your town as well as in the closest large cities. I admit that I love a bargain as much as the next person, but knowledgeable teachers are going to cost more to engage for lessons. While most view music training as an extracurricular activity, it is important to note that music instruction, just like athletic instruction, can pose a possible temporary or permanent physical side effect. If you pay less, you will likely receive less valuable instruction. Any teacher worth his or her salt will correctly value his or her instruction within the local environment. For example, in a larger city, my experience and knowledge would garner a much higher price than I can demand in a small town. A simple evaluation of prices in a larger city show this to be true. Make sure you are informed. Number 5. Request references. This should be required only if you were not referred to the teacher by a college or university, or if you are not completely reassured by the degree and resume with which you were provided. Keep in mind, however, that it is your right to request references from any potential teacher, and if he or she refuses to provide them, well, you have your answer. Number 6, request a trial period. Most teachers prefer to have notice if a student is going to leave the studio. I ask that my students give me at least a month's notice. Keep in mind, this is our livelihood, and our bills depend upon our income. This is a way for both of you to have an easy out if the chemistry between teacher and student does not mesh. This does not mean that your child should stop studying music or that the teacher is incompetent. We all learn in different ways, and sometimes one's teaching style does not work for all students. Although I have never experienced this myself, I always tell my students and their parents at the very first audition that I will be happy to help them find a competent replacement if they are unhappy in my studio. Again, the goal is always to protect the student. All of these points require that parents and guardians, as well as the students, do their due diligence before committing to pay for a service. It is unlikely that you would be willing to pay an amateur, unlicensed plumber to work on the plumbing in your home. Why then would you trust an untrained, underqualified teacher to work with your child? Well, thank you for watching this video. I hope it will help you in finding your child's next music teacher. Please feel free to leave a comment below or go to my website, www.thehealthysinger.com, all lowercase letters, or my Facebook page, The Healthy Singer. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at any of these venues. Good luck with your search, and goodbye.